truth has overcome the lies, the good news of His Majesty in His Christ. And it is vital that we raise our tribal flag, the flag of the conquering lion of the tribe of
አንደኛ ወደ ቆሮንቶስ ሰዎች ራፋ 14 ቁጥር 8 ደግሞ መመልከት የማይገለጥን ድምፅ ቢሰጥ ለጦርነት ማን ይዘጋጃል? For if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to battle? Who shall prepare himself to battle? Brethren and sisters, this is a little different message than a lot of the other messages. This is a crisis message. This is a message that is blowing the trumpet, saying we have to prepare ourselves, we have to assemble ourselves. There's a battle going on. Many of our brethren, our brethren of faith, you understand? Many of our, even sisters, we've heard from the brethren so far. We know there's many sisters who are also, you understand, being persecuted. Rastafari is being persecuted. Many of the brothers who are incarcerated on what we call, and what it was basically called, quality of life so-called crime. Somebody selling marijuana or herb. You have to remember that marijuana for us is not a drug, and it's not a drug in truth. It's not, the drugs like, alcohol is much a bigger thing. But we're not even arguing about that right there. We're talking about non-violent crimes. That's what we're speaking about. Many are being incarcerated for non-violent crimes, and if for anything, it's a quality of life sort of crime. In other words, these same sort of crimes where others get a pat on the wrist, you understand, if they are the right so-called social, you understand, social, ethnic, color, economic so-called class, or live in the right neighborhood, or have the right so-called friends, you understand, they come from a good background, you understand. So if they have a quarter pound of so-called marijuana or herb, you understand, or if they have a couple of bags of herb, they get a slap on the wrist, this get expunged from the record, so forth and so on. But many of our Rastafari brethren, first of all, in case you don't know, and some of you might not be aware, for the past 13 or more years, we have been actively running actively ministering, that's the more correct word. People say running a prison outreach operation, but ministering, more correctly, ministering to our brethren, to Rastafari who have been incarcerated. You understand? And we say the majority, the number of those who have been incarcerated for so-called violent crimes, we can count on one hand. You understand? Those that we have ministered to, and many of them have acknowledged their sin or their wrong, their penalty, so forth and so on. But the majority of other ones are picked up, you understand, on police profiling, you understand, sort of incidences. They have locks, so forth and so on, or because they declare a different theology, you understand, or a different, you could say, belief, you understand, religion from those who are arresting them, and they get incarcerated. You understand? I mean, we have the list, the amount of document and paperwork. We have the facts on this, and many can clearly testify, and family members have testified. You know what I'm saying? This has been an ongoing activity, and now we're seeking to reach out to you, brothers and sisters, and those who are concerned, and those who are interested, and those who recognize the injustice that has been done. You understand? To many Rastafari brethren, you understand, as well as continually is being done. In fact, this particular letter that we just received from brethren in Toledo, Ohio. So if any of y'all are in the Toledo, Ohio area, please get in touch with us directly. Go to our web page, lojsociety.org. Go to the site, lojsociety.org. Use the contact documents and information there, the contact link at lojsociety.org. If you are willing and able to assist us and to do your part, you understand, do your part to help in this outreach of His Imperial Majesty, because we need ones who are in those states, you understand, where these various penitentiaries and prisons are, you understand, to work in coordination with the society, you understand, to make sure that our rights, you understand, our rights as Rastafari, our religious rights, you understand, are not being violated, and that violations of our rights are dealt with accordingly, to say the least. You understand? Are brought to justice, or at least are exposed. You understand? Are exposed, and they are ashamed, those who have done these things. In other words, as the Imperial Majesty said, to expose the mockery, you understand, of this racial discrimination, this religious discrimination. This is what we are addressing at this time, and we're not going to go into the details of this letter, the direct details of this letter, but suffice it to say, this particular brethren, as well as some other letters that have most recently come in, even though we have been able, you understand, to appeal, you understand, to the chaplain, to the wardens, you understand, for Rastafari religious rights and observances, like so-called black Muslims and Jews and certain Christian denominations which are incarcerated, that are given certain human rights as far as their religion is, and they're not violated by having their precepts, their locks and their beards forcibly, you understand, forcibly shaven. I mean, this letter right here is a brother crying out basically of the inhuman treatment and the policy of himself on one hand, who was shaved at another detention center, and now, you know, they put these brethren in the hole in isolation, you understand, to break their spirits, humiliated, shamed, physically violated, you understand, having their locks, you understand, removed by force, you understand, then also being put into solitary confinement with the hopes that these brethren would go mad, or give them a reason to further violate them, or even to take their lives. This is a very serious issue, because a lot of your Rastafarians and brothers out there, and ones who may listen to this, you know, may make excuses and think that it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen to you. But the number of ones who have testified, in the documentation that we have of their own testimony of this happening to them, you understand, should dissuade you of any illusion, you understand, of our rights being violated, and Rastafari prisoners, you understand, who are on minor misdemeanors, who have been arrested for minor misdemeanors, like having a spliff, you understand, you know, I mean, even someone drunk driving, you understand, you know, get more fair treatment, even though it's a much more dangerous situation, as the statistics and the, you know, evidence will clearly prove. But that's another issue. What we need right now is for you to carry this message to your brethren, to your bingy, to your local group, you understand, to get active in your area, because today it's them, tomorrow it could be any of us. You have to understand this. You have to really understand this is a major issue when we talk about getting up and standing up for our rights. Well, our human and religious rights are being violated as Rastafari in many of these so-called prisons and detention centers and so forth and so on, where many of the brethren, you understand, have been unjustly arrested and detained for non-violent, no property, nobody stealing anything from nobody, nobody has robbed nobody, you understand, nobody's even drunk driving and so forth and so on, but because they see a brethren, he has a tam on, he has the locks, he's wearing the Rastafari, you know, colors, or he has a dreadlock, and automatically they assume, you understand, that this brethren is doing some sort of criminal activity. And because they find even a nickel bag on this brethren, you understand, they arrest him, and then while he's under arrest for a minor misdemeanor, you understand, we understand about the prison industrial complex. A lot of our brothers are testifying firsthand, and the amount of information and disheartening, humiliating information that we receive, you understand, from this has stimulated us to blow the trumpet about this, to say, to get involved, you understand, to get involved, to contact lojsociety.org. You understand, if you are willing to do your part, or to help out in some way, you understand, in any way, you understand, if this issue touches you and affects your consciousness as it has affected ours for the several years that we have been involved, please help us in this. And we know that the God and the Father of Adonai Yehoshua HaMoshiach, Getachin Jesus Christos, will bless you, will protect you, and will keep you. Give thanks for listening, and we hope to hear from the I, them, the I and I very soon. Salam Tanat, this is your Virgin Rasi Adinos Tefel. በስመ አብ ወወልድ ወመንፈስ ቅዱስ አሐዱ አምላክ። አንደኛ ወደ ቆሮንቶስ ሰዎች ምዕራፍ 14 ቁጥር 8 ደግሞ መመልከት የማይገለጡን ድምፅ ቢሰጥ ለጦርነት ማን ይዘጋጃል?